Welcome to the Academic Framework, Module 2. Our topic for today is vocabulary instruction. But where does this fit in our ELL framework for academic literacy? Let's take a look at our house graphic and find out. The foundational piece is always getting to know our students, their home language, their prior schooling, their experiences. And we build on that with background knowledge and vocabulary instruction. Oral language is also very important as a foundational piece. Then we have our pillars: register, grammar, and genre. And finally, no house is complete without a roof: assessment. Communicating your learning intentions with your students is important for all learners. It is helpful if we divide them into content or competency goals and language goals. Please pause for a moment and read through our learning intentions for today's session. How do we know which words to teach? A native English speaker student knows on average about 5,000 English words when entering kindergarten. So for our English language learners, it is a constant game of catch-up. If we practice a tiered approach to vocabulary instruction, then we know that we are getting the most bang for our vocabulary buck. Let's take a peek at the tiered approach to vocabulary instruction. Our Tier 1 words are sight words. They are functional words: objects, things, and simple verbs. Some examples would be girl, dog, play, and leash. Now, if we look at the bottom of the slide, we'll have a look at Tier 3 words. These are subject-specific words. They are not part of our everyday use. They are words like photosynthesis, igneous, and cumulus. And finally, the Tier 2 words. Why did I leave them for last? Because this is where the research shows we should be spending most of our vocabulary instruction time. Tier 2 words are academic and multiple meaning words. They appear across subject areas. These are words that are important to understand text. They are words that are used across the curriculum, and they're often words with several meanings. So for instance, words like compare and describe, curricular competency words. Even a word like table, which you would think has only one meaning, can actually have multiple meanings. Now you try. Tier the vocabulary from this passage. Remember, there's no real right or wrong. We just want to get a sense of which words are Tier 1, which are Tier 2, and which are Tier 3. Now that we know the difference between Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 words, how do we teach them? We can use a different approach for each type of word. So for Tier 1 words, or sight words, you might need to teach some of these to brand new students who need to experience some success in the English language. We might try a thematic unit, like objects in the classroom or places in the school, using a graphic organizer such as the one shown in the slide. For Tier 3 vocabulary, like the language of science or math, we may have to take a different approach. We might need to spend some time with vocabulary, but also with concept attainment. For these words, we might use a Freyer model, an idea web, or a mind map. These types of graphic organizers get at the heart of the concept. In this Freyer model example, we have definition, illustration, example, and non-example. Notice the student is using their home language of Spanish. For our most important Tier 2 language, when we want our students to really own a word and know what it means and be able to use it across contexts, We might choose to use Marzano's 6-step process to teaching academic vocabulary. Please pause the video and take a moment to read through Marzano's 6 steps. So what might Marzano's 6 steps look like in a classroom setting? Because these Tier 2 words are so important, we devote lots of teacher time to it. We use teacher-led lessons to ensure errorless learning. We might start by writing the word on the board and having students copy it onto the graphic organizer. Then we would say the word 5 times together out loud so that we can work on our pronunciation. We would have the students write the word and write it again. This repetition reinforces their knowledge. Next, we might have the students write the word in their home language, if that's appropriate for your group of students. At this point, we still might be doing teacher-led learning. We might come up with a definition together as a class for the word, and we create a sentence together as a class on the board and have students copy it down. Only now, after doing several examples together with the teacher, do we ask students to do some work with a partner, all the while circulating to see if students are using the word correctly. We finish off by providing them some context in number 6 and having them draw a picture of the word at the end. But you might say, my students are beginners, they can't do this. Well, perhaps they can. Here's an example of academic vocabulary cards for classroom instruction of culturally and linguistically diverse students. You can see that the words are Tier 2 and quite abstract, but have really great images attached to them, which might help our beginners to understand. Once the students know some of these words, own them, can think of them in their sleep, you might choose to do some word work with them. This keeps these words fresh in their mind and keeps them practicing and using the words. Now you try. Go back to your passage about photosynthesis. Let's decide which words you might teach and how you might teach them. Try to think of ways to weave these vocabulary terms into your lessons. That is, teach them in context. Pause the video and take some time to plan and think. Reflection. Let's take a moment to think about your vocabulary instruction. We will use the traffic light metaphor, which might work for your students as well for self-reflection and assessment. Green light. What is something that you are going to continue doing in your vocabulary instruction? Amber light. What is something new, one thing, that you might introduce into your instruction? Red light. What is something you might stop doing in your vocabulary instruction? Pause the video to do some reflection. Here are links to some of the documents that we showed you in the slide deck. Don't forget to have fun with your students and vocabulary. Play some vocabulary games. Make it exciting for them. We hope you join us for our next academic framework session. Take care.